Welcome to today's Premier Experts, your one-stop shop to find industry experts in a variety of niches. My name is Ray Perez, and I'm a global branding expert. I travel the world speaking to entrepreneurs and business owners, and we've created this show to take advantage of their wealth of knowledge. I interview experts across different fields to learn what has made them become successful. When you interview people from a wide range of industries, those points of views brought together can create massive success for your business. Welcome back to today's Premier Experts. I'm your host, Ray Perez, and today my special guest is Eric L. Dunavant, the Mindset Disruption Strategist. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Ray, so glad to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. And like I always like to start off the show, explain to me exactly what a mindset disruption strategist does.
Yeah, so our mindsets right now, whether we realize it or not, are set by the society and everything that's going on around us.
Yes.
And so the way that we live our lives, we like to think, how can I be more in control of my life? How can I get what I want out of life? And if all we do is go forward letting someone else's agenda control us, we probably are not going to end up where we want to be. So as a mindset disruption strategist, what I am doing is helping people disrupt the way that they're thinking right now. And in that disruption, actually discover what it is they're going after. What are their passions? What do they want? So we can create a strategy to get them where they actually want to be. When I was a young kid, my dad sent me a book called "If You Don't Know Where You're Going, You'll Probably End Up Somewhere Else." Right?
I like that.
Well, no, it's a most
I gotta look that book up.
Most people don't know where they're going. They think, they have these dreams, they have all these ideas. Here's where I want to be, here's where I want to go, but they have no plan to get there. And so as a mindset disruption strategist, what I want to do is let's disrupt this mindset that's kept you in this rut of where you are, and let's create a strategy to get you onto the path to what you really want to create, something great for you and your family and your life.
I love that. And you do that in a variety of different ways. So first, let's talk about your company, Peridium.
Yeah.
Explain to me exactly how that works. What is Peridium?
Yeah, so Peridium is a word that we made up that means beyond the day. So let me tell you a little bit more about that. So from a mindset standpoint, when people are thinking about what they have, they're thinking about accumulating. We live in one of the wealthiest times that has ever existed.
Yep.
But one of the things that we can't seem to escape is the fact that if you look at it, 90% of wealth fails after 3 generations. But this is not a brand new thing. This has been around since the beginning of time. And so when you look at that, what we created Peridium to do is we went and we said, what is the core problem inside of this? What is the disruption that needs to happen inside of our mindsets to make something different happen? And what we truly believe is the difference is everyone is chasing financial success. Mm-hmm. And what we believe is that it actually happens at the intersection of family and finance. And if we can pull people back, so let me give you an example. Most financial things are done inside of conference rooms. You go to see an advisor, they pull you into a conference room and all this work is done. Yep. What if the most important work you could do to create the strategy for your life that you want was to do work in your living room with your family? And so like in our office in Covington, Louisiana, we actually have a living room that we invite people to come into and sit down. Let's talk about all the family things, about all the things that you dream, and let's disrupt the pattern of what you're doing, hit this intersection of family and finance. And what we actually find, which is so cool, is that people actually save more on taxes. They can do more in their life because they're getting out of this rut that they don't even realize the financial industry is even stuck in right now because all they can focus on is the financial side.
So let me get this straight. So in your office, you actually have a living room set up so that you meet with your clients in your living room office.
Yeah, so our theme is your living room or ours.
Wow.
But our preference is actually, please come to our living room because I live in a small town called Covington, Louisiana. But I tell people it's Mayberry, and it is. And if you flew into New Orleans, you would cross a 24-mile bridge. The minute you hit that bridge, what we tell you is leave everything behind. We're actually putting you in a time machine, and we're going to take you back 20, 30 years. It's a slower pace. It's a slower time. Come experience Mayberry. Come experience our living room, and let's work on the things that matter, and let's make a difference in our family and actually create generational prosperity. Let's try and disrupt this pattern of failure after 3 generations, but let's see what that truly means for us and how would we actually get there.
Well, you have a very interesting angle on how to do this, but let me clarify. Who exactly are your clients?
Yeah, so our best client is a business owner who's about 1 to 5 years away from exiting a business. And the key reason for that, come back to this idea of disrupting patterns and this intersection of family and finance. The reason is because a business owner who hasn't sold yet has on paper something that's worth a whole lot, right? But you can't take that to the grocery store. And on day 0, when the business sells, now all of a sudden there's a huge liquidity event. Now we have a whole lot of money in the account.
Got it.
What most business owners miss is a lot of the family issues that they've been ignoring throughout the years. One of my phrases is money doesn't cause problems, it simply magnifies and exposes the issues you've been ignoring. And so we want to have those conversations. What are the family conversations we need to get ahead of before the money can get in there and disrupt? It could be you think this is going to be the happiest day of your life. And if you have unresolved family issues going on, it may be one of the worst days of your life.
Wow, I never really considered it that way.
Yeah.
Wow. So now you guys have a very strict qualifying procedure for clients to be able to work with you. Talk about those 6 pillars that you guys have.
Yeah, so there's 6 principles.
Principles.
Yep. And we call them 6 principles of transformation because when you're disrupting this mindset, we're going to completely transform what you're doing and where you're going. So there's 6 of them. Principle number 1 is your top asset is your family. If you're a guy who's always staring at the balance sheet and this is the most important thing to me, we're not a good fit. The second piece is your top investment is your business. Because we understand there are a lot of good investment managers out there. I've never seen one of them be able to top what a good owner of a business can do.
Yeah.
Number 3 is your control of money is finite. So when someone comes in with this mindset of, I want to try and control this beyond the grave and I want to try and set rules, no, it's never going to work.
Yeah.
And so you actually have to understand, I've got to prepare the next generation. You have to have a mindset of, I'm stewarding the next person who's going to have this rather than trying to have that control.
Wow.
All right, so if your control of money is finite, then the next principle becomes super important, which is transformation happens in relationship. You've really got to then start pouring into these relationships. Principle number 5 is that generosity defeats scarcity. If you are stuck in a mindset of scarcity, to get out of that, the best way to do that is through generosity. And then our last principle, because we're a faith-based organization, we work with a lot of faith-based families, is that today echoes through eternity. Everything that we do is going to have an eternal impact. And if we begin, going to go back to Stephen Covey's begin with the end in mind.
Yep.
Why are we doing? What's the purpose of what we're creating? And that actually takes us back to the beginning of when we're pulling the family into the living room. And let me be really clear, we start with just mom and dad. This isn't about pulling all the kids and everything together. It's starting with mom and dad and then helping them get clear. But there is a time when it is time to bring all the kids into the room and have these conversations.
Wow, I love it. And so basically for a client to be able to work with you, they need to be in alignment with those 6 principles.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
Because if you're not in alignment with those principles, there's going to be a rub at some place. We're going to recommend that you do something, and if it'd be the same thing. If that's not in alignment for you, why would you want to work with someone who's going to bring those principles? The greatest success that we have and the greatest partnerships that we have happen when that alignment is there. And if you look at the tax savings and the amount of increased generosity that the families that we've partnered with have achieved, that alignment makes all the sense of the world.
Well, I know that this is why you have such success with all of your clients, because of this process, because of these principles, and the way that you operate the business.
Yeah.
Now, you wrote a book. Share a little bit about your book.
Yeah, so the book is called What If We've Been Doing It All Wrong? And it was this idea of all these mindsets that we're holding on to, but especially in the financial arena, the way that the financial industry has conditioned us to think actually benefits them
Yes.
a whole lot more than it benefits the individual person. And so I wrote a book specifically on this idea of what if we've been thinking about just building wealth? What if we've been thinking about inheritance? What if we've been thinking about investing? What if we've been thinking about giving? What if we've been thinking about all of these things in the wrong manner? And I challenge the way that people think, to disrupt it and give them a new direction, a new strategy.
Wow, it makes me think, what if they've been lying to us all this time, right? But I like your title. What if we've been thinking about this all wrong? So speaking of thinking, so you have a mastermind.
I do.
That you collaborate with a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners. Share a little bit about your mastermind.
Yeah, so our mastermind is King's Odyssey. So if you look around, this is specifically designed for men.
Okay.
And men that I would describe as kings of businesses. If you look at modern day kings, our modern day kings are our super successful business owners.
Yeah, I would say
right?
that. Right?
But what we're watching, let's look at what's happening with Bezos right now. What's happening with Gates right now. Modern day kings who have fallen.
Fallen, yeah.
But why? Well, because the entire world that we've set up is a world of isolation, a world where, as a king, who do you go to talk about your problems? Hey, I'm struggling with this thing right now. You're a billionaire. Why do you have problems? So we created King's Odyssey for the men and the husbands that align with kind of what Peridium does and the other work that we do, who are like, hey, you know what? This is a very lonely place. This is a very lonely world. And if today echoes through eternity, I've got to change something to make a difference. And so we're bringing these kings together to create a King's Council, so where they can be around other men that are like-minded, that are facing the exact same challenges, that they can sit in a room and say, you know what, I'm disappointed in the way my kids did this. Or they can sit in a room and go, you know what, I'm struggling with X, Y, Z. Maybe it's a sexual struggle. Maybe it's a food disorder. Maybe it's anger. You know, all of these things that you're not allowed in your local church or anything like that. If you've got a whole lot of money, if you're a modern day king, you're not allowed to have problems.
Yeah, that's true. And society puts that shell around you. And I've discovered the more highly successful people that I meet and that I interview, the real breakthroughs and the real success comes outside of the business.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know you have retreats with your mastermind members, and most of the stuff that you work on isn't even about business, but because it affects their entire life, it directly affects the business.
Yeah, no, I would say that about 95% of it has nothing to do with business. It really is. This kind of came through my own transformational experience, but was discovering that really, when you get really clear on what do I want for my body, what do I want for my connection to my family, what do I want for my connection from a faith-based standpoint to God, and how that whole, then business like starts to line up a whole lot easier. And these kings and even other men have been taught to get on this hamster wheel of chase the bottom line, chase the balance sheet, chase the accumulation. And when you live in that world, if you try and think different, the rest of the world goes, what are you doing? You're crazy. Get back on the hamster wheel. And so trying to bring them to a place of where we can talk about the things that matter that allow them to make the shift.
I love it. I've personally experienced exactly what you're talking about. And we have a mastermind where I would say 90% is not business oriented either.
Yeah.
And we see the biggest breakthroughs in our clients' businesses because we're working in these areas that most other companies, most other coaches, masterminds are also business driven and business focused, and they're neglecting this other area, which I believe society, culture, everything is neglecting as well. So I really commend you for doing that.
Well, maybe you're a mindset disruption strategist as well.
Well, I definitely can get along with one, that's for sure, because I'm on the same mindset. And you know, it's funny that you say that, because when we do our events, on day one, we focus on 100% on mindset.
Yeah.
Because I could train all the skill set in the world, but if I don't get their mindset right, it won't make any difference.
That's right.
So you're
no, you've got to
dead on.
completely rewire the mindset to focus on the things that are right. Otherwise, you'll get the same. Einstein's definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You've got to change the mindset. You've got to disrupt it to get a different result.
Now let's talk about your giving and how your mastermind, your business, and yourself and your family are giving back through your nonprofit organization.
Yeah, so the first thing that aligns with what we do from a giving standpoint is 10% of all of our first year profits go into an employee giving fund.
Wow.
And so my wife, Angel, runs that, and we are just bringing employees around this idea of kind of showing and getting them engaged in generosity, getting them thinking about generosity. We also have our own personal generosity plan where we're giving out of our own accumulation. And the biggest passion that I have is on helping to find a way to alleviate poverty but to approach it from a different direction. Because as business owners, as entrepreneurs, what we found is that is a key that unlocks success in a lot of different areas, right? Owning a business.
100%.
But a lot of people in poverty, access to capital, struggling to get information. So right now we're partnering with the group Thrive New Orleans, who has built an education program for entrepreneurs in the poorer communities of New Orleans. And then what we're doing is working with them to build a capital program that they can, like forgivable loans, or even just a loan program because they can't get access to capital other places. So someone who's got this small business idea, for example, a catering company has to buy all the food typically before they'll collect the business. Well, somebody's in poverty, that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
So could they come in and get a loan, and then over time that helps them launch their business?
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be, we're just getting started. I'm so excited to watch that grow.
So you said something that I think I want to borrow from you. Generosity
defeats.
No. You said a generosity plan. Is that what you said? You have a personal generosity plan?
Yeah, personal generosity plan.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'd like to use that. Having your personal, business, I just like having a I always say gives, right?
Sure.
You're very giving, and I believe in the best way to receive is through giving. But having a generosity plan, I really like that.
Yeah, no, and it's.
How did you come up with that? Like, I mean, I know this is pretty much all that you do. Like, I know a little bit about you, so I know you're always in that giving mindset. But why is it important for entrepreneurs and those that are listening on the show? Why is it important to come from a place of giving and contribution?
Well, because in life, what I've found is that anytime I've gotten to a place where I'm holding on, like white knuckling, as hard as I can, nothing works. And what really happened for me, it was a generosity transformation experience that I had personally, where it was like, let's just try this generosity thing on. And we opened up our hand. And from a faith-based standpoint, I mean, this is in alignment with biblical scripture and everything else, but it really was the exercise of what if we open our hand and focused on being generous from the very beginning. And there was a year, it was 2000. My wife was pregnant with my son Clayton, 2001. And we were like, we want her to stay home, but we're $200 short every month in the budget. And that year we committed to giving no matter what. Right? That was the very first check we were going to write. We were going to write a check of generosity. And don't get this wrong. This wasn't to the church. Like, we were just looking for places to give. We had a ball. And in that year, we paid off $6,000 in debt. And people are like, you did what? You were $200 short in every single month, and you paid off $6,000 in debt. How did you do that? I don't know. I didn't go back and count it. Like, I was afraid to, I didn't want to undo the miracle. That season made me fall in love with giving. And then what it became was, let's try that again, or let's try that in a different way. And then I would feel a tap on my shoulder of give here or give there. And then what we also started to realize is, okay, so this is fun. What are we excited about? What are we energized about? And then create a generosity plan that's based on those things. And if you really want to know how this modern giving piece came together with all the things of unrest that happened last summer, Black Lives Matter and George Floyd and everything. We brought our entire family together. I've got a 20-year-old son, a 17-year-old son, and a 14-year-old daughter. And we just asked the question of, where do we see the greatest need? And the biggest thing that I see is in a lot of the areas of poverty is it's harder to figure out how to unlock that. And a lot of the frustration and anger we're seeing today are in those communities of poverty.
Yep.
And because I'm a business owner and because my kids understand and get the benefit from owning a business, we're like, well, this is something we understand, and we think that this could allow other people to lift themselves out. So it became a way to also bring the family together around that generosity too. And so the plan kind of finds itself as you start to uncover what you're passionate about.
Well, I love it. I'm in aligned with it. I remember a few years ago, giving was a huge part of my life and what I do, and a part of my business. And then one day I made a shift. Instead of making it a part of my business, I wanted to lead with generosity, lead with giving the business. And I remember when I made that shift, if I look back, the business has just been straight up ever since, right? So I agree. I have experience, and I feel exactly in alignment with what you're doing. So I acknowledge you for that.
I forget who said it, but someone made the comment that no one has ever become poor by giving money away.
I like that. I don't know who said it, but I will agree with you, because I've had those times where I don't know how I'm going to pay everything off. I still made my tithe, and then all of a sudden everything was paid and there was an abundance at the end of the year. So,
Absolutely, right?
So,
and
yeah.
it's consistent.
Well, I love the mindset. I love the fact that you lead and you teach your clients to do this as you're assisting them with their wealth and how to manage it and how to give back to others. And so if people want to learn more about how to work with you, be part of your mastermind, support the nonprofit organization, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so the best way to get in touch with me is at my own personal website, which is ericl360.com. And the great thing about that website is you've got access to my videos, you've got access to all of our websites of where we do business. You can connect with me anywhere on all of my social media. You can send me a text, you can connect with me on phone. I mean, any way that you want to get in touch with me, ericl360.com is the way to do it. And it's a great way to get in touch with it.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
We got
fabulous. So much in common.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining us on another episode of today's Premier Experts. I'm your host, Ray Perez, reminding you to never leave for tomorrow what you can do today and always stay true to your brand. If you or anyone you know is an expert in a particular niche or industry, we would love to have a conversation about potentially being on the show. Just visit todayspremierexperts.com, click on Be a Guest, and fill out the form.